All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, colleagues, from wherever you are joining from. This is the 18th edition of Dr. Nwaru's Research Tips and Tricks, and it's coming to you from me. I am Bright Nwaru, and if you are joining this for the first time, this is one of the programs presented by the African Science Frontiers Initiatives, ASFI. So it has been running for the last 18 months now. That is why this is the 18th edition. It's a monthly program, and we call it a research clinic, where we can bring to you some tips on how to do better in your research career. So welcome. It's 1 hour program, and I hope we will not take your time too much beyond that. Okay, let me share my screen. And just to mention, if you have missed our previous editions, we have you covered. It is all available on our YouTube channel, and my colleague, Dr. Ajibola Oladejo, I think we will put in some links there for you if you miss. Go and look through them. We cover several topics, from issues of failure to ignorance in science to how to build an effective team. So the topics are wide, and I hope you will benefit from that. So the house rule is, please mute yourself. If you're not speaking, mute yourself. Otherwise, I have all the authority and right to kick you out if you disturb us with your noise, and I hope you will not. So usually I start with breakout session, small breakout session, for you to begin to think about this. Perhaps you are here, you don't even know, you saw the topic, want to go to a free workshop. I want you just take a picture of what is in front of you on your screen, as I organize you into different groups. Now I will form 3 groups. When you get up there, appoint one person in your group who will come to use 1 minute to summarize your point, the things you have discussed. So I believe that it will be a good discussion. The issue of literature review is important. Perhaps many people don't find it that important, but it's important because, as far as I know, in my journey in academia and in research, it is one aspect that people struggle with. Well, let's see what happens this afternoon, whether I make it more exciting for you, or more boring, or more frightening. Let's see what happens. But I will send you out now to your breakout sessions, and please take 15 minutes maximum. I will call you back to use 1 minute, one person from each group, tell us what you have discussed, and then after that I will tell you what I have for you today. So I see you in 15 minutes. Choose the group you automatically assigned. All right, who is presenting for group number 1 to give us feedback in 1 minute? Group number 1, who was selected? No one? Okay, group number 2.
We have
someone.
Group number 1.
We have someone, group number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have time to.
Okay. Hello. So I'm presenting on behalf of group number 1. Sorry, I had issues. I was logged out. But I'll just quickly do presentation in 1 minute.
Snap.
The first thing is, have you done a literature? Our answer is yes. Everybody in the group had done at one time or the other. And in what context? We did it in places of thesis, writing, and dissertation, either as undergraduate, master's, or PhD level. People have also done, because of publications, for guideline writing and also grant application. And then in the context of thesis, we had all been able to write in the context of thesis. Some people have argued on the fact that sometimes literature review can be difficult, especially when we have issues to accessibility of database or sorting out issues of plagiarism, especially when we also don't know the gap we want to fill with the literature review. We may have difficulty and inability to synthesize information. People who had issues with language differences also says that sometimes it's difficult to compose this English appropriately. On many grounds, a lot of people had found it easy, especially with access to database when they have good understanding of the subject matter. And then people have also said that with the use of AI, artificial intelligence, we are able to put prompts on it and it is able to sort out the issue of plagiarism, especially when you use AI platforms like Crayon AI. Also, the use of reference manager like Mendeley, EndNote, and Zotero also makes it very easy. And then getting the gaps of previous works in terms of their discussion and recommendation also makes it easy. The difficulty of literature review compared to other sessions, a lot of the group member feels that this is lessened. The literature review is worse than the other session, especially if you do not know how to do it. So it becomes the fulcrum for the other session. It can be time consuming.
All right, thank you, group 1. I think we have a picture now. Let's go to group 2. Thank you. Who is presenting for group number 2, please? Group number 2.
It's me, Professor. I hope today my voice can be heard.
Snappy. Yeah,
David
we can hear you.
is presenting for number 2.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Now I'll be very brief. Our findings, our discussion is far much related to group 1. We've all done literature review. Then at which context it's part of our master's program in seminars, conferences, for journal publication, and that we found it to be a little hard, especially when you don't really understand the concept, and that when you don't have the sources, there are no sources available. We've also found it difficult compared to other sections. We end here, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you. Group number 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm presenting for group number 3.
All right, go ahead.
Everybody said they've written a literature review before, and in what context they've written it. Writing their MSc dissertation, their PhD dissertation, applying for grants, during
Who is speaking? We can't hear you anymore. We can't hear you.
Have you done a literature review in the context of a thesis before? Yes, we agreed. We've done it in the context of a thesis before. Then the literature review, easy or difficult or an easy exercise? Some said it's easy, some said it's difficult. They said it's difficult because they have to search for materials and it's not easy to get materials to use. Then how does the level of difficulty in the literature review compare to writing the other sections? The literature review is the backbone of other sections. If you get the literature review right, you get other things right. The methodology is the most difficult section, as said by some of my group members. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you,
Welcome,
group
done.
number, group number 3 and all the groups for your input. I think that was a good place to start it. All right, so this is what we have. Usually, if you call it dissertation, you call it a thesis. You have this components there. And so you usually have the introduction or the background, and there you have problem statement, why you're doing, justification, and then you have the literature review, which is highlighted. And each of these sections, you can see the questions they address. Introduction and background will look at the problem statement. Literature review will be answering the question, what we know so far on the topic. The aims and objectives, what you want to do. Methods, how you want to achieve your aims. Results, what you have found. Okay? Discussion, inference of the import of your findings and conclusions will be take-home message. I have to tell you, if you're writing a literature review or you're writing a scientific article, usually you will do a literature review, and I tell you, if you are not careful, the literature review will be the most overwhelming side, especially when you do not have a grasp of the topic. All right, then it requires more effort to collect your data together and to put forth your argument. But just to let you know, the question it answers is, what do we know so far? It means that you're taking a retrospective assessment, evaluation, to provide call it state of the art, or the evidence up until now. All right. In the case of thesis, it is more elaborate. You have a whole chapter that sometimes can range from maybe 1 page to sometimes up to 50 pages. People are making argument to provide essence of what is there. So what is it? Literature review is a piece of academic writing that demonstrates the writer's knowledge. Okay, demonstrates the writer's knowledge and understanding of the academic literature on a specific topic, placed in a context. All right. So why you are asked to include literature review as part of your thesis is that they want to make assessment of your knowledge and understanding of the literature. Meaning you should not be an outsider. You need to be in, and we need to see that you know what is happening on the topic. So if your literature review is shallow, then it's already a signal that you don't know what is happening there. For instance, those who have published before, those who have published articles in scientific journal, you can send it for review, and then it comes back with comments from some of the reviewers. This writer did not seem to know the current literature. For instance, this paper was not cited. 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 There is already a signal to the reviewers that you do not have a grasp of what is happening on the topic. All right. So it requires you to read more, and get a grasp of the literature in the area. All right, it's a process of reviewing the literature as well as a form of writing. Right, it's not just reviewing, But what you have read, you need to put it in a way people can understand. Right? And writing has structure, it has flavor, it has style, all right? It has language. All this need to be put there. You don't make it monotonic, that this person said this, and read the next paragraph, and this person said that. You need to present it in a story way that somebody will say, okay, is that what has happened? Is this good? It includes a critical evaluation of the material on the topic. All right? Meaning you will take some materials, some have found that this particular thing is not so. And there is a contradictory evidence here. How do you bring them together? You need to apply critical assessment to make readers understand what we can conclude from what has been done. It forms a section or part of dissertation research, can also be set and assessed as a standalone piece of work. You know, sometimes you publish. It is not every time you publish original work, you also have literature review. And these are important in terms of publication because it offers those in the field an assessment of what we know. It helps the writer to establish familiarity with current research in a particular field before carrying out a new investigation. So the literature review is important. It's important. For me, there is another one I teach called systematic review, all right, which is more systematic than ordinary literature review. But you can also make your literature review systematic to a point, and that is what I want to give you in the few minutes we have. So, because I know the weight of a systematic review, if I have my PhD students come to my group, the first thing I want them to do is to do a literature review on the topic I have assigned them to work on. What that does, it may be overwhelming for them. It's, but I tell you, by the time they finish that, they know who is who, one, on that topic. They know what the evidence is on that topic. They know the arguments on that topic. So it opens your horizon. And that will now help you when you begin to make argument based on what you are doing. You situate it within the context. So it is important. Literature review is important for the evidence we are working on. All right. What a literature review is not. Sometimes people misconceive it. It's not a descriptive list of summaries of books, articles on a topic. You should not just list your sources and describe them in detail, one at a time. No, that is not what it is. Cannot list paper published in this journal, published in that journal. This had this number of people in the study. This is what they found. No, there is a way you need to do it. That is not a literature review. It's not an exhaustive bibliography on everything ever written on the topic. You need to make a decision about what to and not to include. Because you can get into a field that, goodness me, if you are doing the literature review, maybe you will continue until you're retired to finish it up. All right, so you need to make a decision on what to include. And there are ways you can do it. If the literature on the topic is overwhelming, you can make a decision. For instance, I focus on maybe a certain area of the topic. I focus on a timeline. Let's say I'm reviewing the literature in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, and so on and so forth. It is not your arguments and ideas. That is not what the literature review is. It's about what the evidence is on that topic. It's not organized around ideas. It's organized around ideas and not around sources. All right. So that's what I was trying to say. The ideas need to be brought out. It's not just a list of sources, but ideas, how you can use the sources to argue the ideas of what we know on the topic. All right. Now, what literature review does is that it moves us from known to unknown. Known to unknown. That is what it does. And what that means is that it helps you to identify gaps, the gaps on the evidence. The gaps on the evidence. That is what it helps you to identify the gaps. When you do a literature review, then you know where the gaps are in terms of the topic, in terms of the methods, in terms of other aspects. What has been done, what has not been done. Literature review is powerful to do that. And if you do it well, you come out with fire in your head. Fire. All right. I mentioned different types of I mentioned the semantic review, and these are different types of the literature review. And this shows how comprehensive and how difficult it can be. And you can see that amongst all the types, you have a narrative review, critically appraised topics, scoping review, rapid review. This is mostly the one you include in a thesis. Then you have systematic review. Shows that systematic review is the most comprehensive. But this one, you do say it depends on the area in terms of speed, methodological details, no methods. That is usually what happens, but you can make it better. Risk of bias, there is high risk of bias. Why? Because only one person is doing it, and you can easily be biased when you're working alone. And then comprehensiveness depends on the author. All right, depends on the author. Okay. The purpose of literature review is to establish context for research. All right, it helps you to delimit the research problem. It helps to provide background information you need. It helps to establish importance, significance of the topic. It helps you to evaluate what is known or unknown, what has not been researched. It helps you to identify landmark studies and authors who are authorities in the area. So the literature review will give you a comprehensive idea of the persons, of what they are doing, and what is not known. If you do it and do it well, you come out really prepared. Then it helps you to carve out space for further research. Okay? So when you do it, it's not only identifying what is not known, but it helps you to say, okay, this has not been researched. You seek new lines of inquiry. You find the gaps. You identify how to fill the gaps. All right? You identify recommendation for further research. You distinguish what has been done from what needs to be done. So it opens opportunity for further research. All right? And it will also help you to establish methodological or theoretical context of the topic, because each field of research has its methodology. All right? So you gain methodological insight of what is being done in that field, seek support for ground theory, learn how researchers define and use words, concepts, terminologies, vocabulary, and so on and so forth. So you identify also main areas of agreement or controversy. The point I'm making here is that the literature review is a powerful tool. It's not easy to do, and that is why many people find it boring. But if you have the concept that this is really an important thing to do, you go into it and come out prepared for what is what you're doing, especially if you're young in your career. So how do you do it? Formulate the topic and define the problem. Search the literature to identify relevant literature. Survey the literature, collect data, and compile information to build the argument. Critically analyze what you have collected to draw conclusions, and then write the thesis. Communicate your findings. So far with this, there is actually a systematic way of doing it. And I hope you can agree. Even though people don't do it, there's actually a systematic way. People may start doing it without formulating the idea, and they start searching here and there. You need to formulate. And when I mean formulate, you need to delimit it to a doable work. And that is a skill. And I mentioned earlier, if you have not been participating in these tips and tricks, we have a video on how to formulate an impactful research question. So you can go back to the previous video too. How do you formulate the topic? I can briefly go through it and just mention a few things. One is that you have to know that there are different research questions. Not all research questions are the same. There are descriptive research questions which address the what, which, where of the topic. You have causal research questions which address the why, how, why do things happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? All right. You have structural questions, and these are questions that relate to implementation, taking the evidence and putting it into practice. And then you have evaluative questions. These are questions that actually now assess what we have implemented and see how they are working in reality. And then you have predictive questions. These are questions that look into the future to predict how things will turn out. The question is, which of these does your question fall into? You need to identify that. What type of question are you trying to address generally? All right. And here are some qualities of good research questions. They must be impactful. All right. They must be impactful. They must identify and solve a need. It has a society as its audience, meaning that if you're doing research, it should contribute to knowledge, it should contribute to solution to what the problems we have in our society. If it doesn't do that, then it becomes only theoretical academic exercise. And for us from Africa, we need to do things that have impact. It is not a recycling of ideas, it must be contextual. It must think globally, but focus also locally. It's a bridge of past and future. And that is where you build on what we know, and then you can give a perspective of where we need to go. All right. Please go back to our previous video on this. And these are some frameworks you can use to formulate your question. And I will skip this. I think this is common. And most of you who have been following us, especially those who have attended like the systematic review, how do you formulate a question, an answerable question? So there's a framework you can do to that. And once you have formulated your question, what you do is now you begin to search the literature, the databases to identify the literature that actually address your topic. You search. And here I've given you different sources you need to search. And in doing that search, there is one other aspect we'll talk about: developing your search strategy. Developing your search strategy. That is important. And if you have not attended our our systematic review course, I think you find a way to do that whenever we announce it again. because we go through processes to develop such strategy and to search the literature. All right, so there are different sources you need to search to find the literature related to your topic. All right, so I will skip those sections. Structure of the literature review. The structure is a system you adapt to present the material for your review. All right, system to help you make your argument, to make your argument understandable, and this really depends on the purpose of your review. All right, the amount and breadth of existing literature on the topic and the function of your literature review. What is the function of your literature review? All right. Now, if there are very large amount of research on the topic, the function of your review will be to provide overview of how the body of evidence has evolved. All right, so that you will know how to build on it and how you align with it. Okay, that is when you have large amount. Provide an overview of how the body of evidence has evolved. All right. If there is very little on the topic, the function of literature review will be why it has been overlooked until now. Okay, not much is known. So you'll be asking the question, how has it been that we have not done so much on this? And then you can carve out a basis for research on the topic. All right. If you have interdisciplinary topic, the function may be to bring together different strands of literature and connect perspectives from previously unrelated perspectives and disciplines together. All right. That may be the function of your literature review. If there is a debate contested topic, then the function will be outline why the topic is problematic. Present different sides of the debate so that people can see what is happening. All right, so there are different structures to literature review. I will quickly go through them. And please, if you want this slide, just gently put your email on the chat box. We'll collect them and we'll send them to you after the presentation of today. If you want the slides, just write your email on the chat box there and we will get them to you. So there are different structures. We have sequential, chronological approach, thematic approach, and the funnel approach. Let me go through them. The sequential chronological approach is that it aims to chart the development on the topic over time. For instance, the types of studies that have been conducted over time, the debates and theories, the methods that have been used. So it identifies central issues on the topic over time, and this will help to situate current issues, help to identify need for further research, and allow a broader understanding of the topic. All right, and gives us a logical progression of the development on the topic. There are two approaches. It may be by years over time or issues over time. All right, so this is how you can do it. Group authors, bring your voice to play, identify the gaps in previous studies, discuss how your research would address those gaps. So sequential and chronological is approaching the issues over time and see how they have developed. Is that what you're doing? If not, then you need to identify what your topic. For instance, we have COVID-19. You can see how it has developed. This phase 1, this phase 2, this phase 3, and so on and so forth. And so you can provide the literature of how this phenomenon has developed. And this is the way the chronological sequential approach works. Then thematic is that you organize and discuss the literature by theme. All right. When you do this, it helps to identify which areas suffer from lack of studies. Helps you to highlight the gaps and in which themes the gaps are. All right. Identify the need for extending work on which theme there is a gap. And we'll have the structure you do is, we call it bucket, theme bucket. All right. So identify the themes, these are different themes. Put the publications you have identified according to the different themes. All right. So you have your literature, you sort them, theme 1, theme 2, theme 3. And then discuss by theme. Discuss by theme. All right. Then you have the funnel approach, which actually is most times what is common people do. Moves from the broad to the specific. All right. General to specific. Abstract to concrete. All right. It starts with broader aspect of the topic and then gradually narrows the topic until you reach a specific aspect of the topic that you will be addressing. This is the way it works. You see the structure here. These are distantly related to your work, closer to what you are doing, but not, it doesn't match directly. Then research that is particularly relevant to your work. So this is how you start. All right. Okay. So this is the structure we call the funnel structure. Establish a broad territory, establish a sub-territory, build a niche, occupy the niche, puzzle. What do we know? What do we not know? Then formulate your research question based on what we don't know. All right. So I have some links here I've given, and I hope you can check them out in addition to this slide. So please, if you have not put your email, do so. Now, the next thing we'll be doing in the month ahead, next month, we'll be looking at cover letters, CVs, references in career, creating a lasting impression. Sometimes people fail because they do not know how to address those in their field. They fail because they do not know how to express themselves. They fail because they do not know how to take advantage to make the argument. It is not true. I'm not saying marketing here. Market yourself beyond who you are. But to be able to put your development into perspective to convince somebody that I am the best fit here. Sometimes you go and exaggerate what you're doing, and then they come, they assess you, they say, "What? Who hired this person?" That's not what we're talking about here, but how to be able to present yourself in a way that is persuasive. Then we have other ones related to data and storytelling. Okay. Related to what I've just spoken this afternoon, we have practice with Ryan and meta-analysis with SPSS. The date has been filled. Dr. Oladejo, we put the link there. If you have not registered, please, you still have time to register to join this. Ryan is a system that can help you to organize your literature. It's free. And so you will not have the struggle, I don't know how to do this. And one of the powerful element it has is collaborative. Okay, it is good. It's good. It's in fact AI persuaded. So please join this session, 23rd of September 2023, 5 to 7 p.m. GMT. To develop your skills. Then the big story in town now is our Sunday seminar series, the Grand Delight. The Grand Delight will have 5 faces here, colleagues who have gone to succeed with grant. And you see, grant and funding are the issues, one of the big issues for research, progress of research in Africa. And one of the problems is many don't know how to win grant. Okay, don't know how to win grant. Don't know how it feels to win grant. If you want to win grant, you need to speak the grant, the grant language. If you want to win it, you need to speak that language. Anyway, that is one of the things we do in SFI to provide you with the skills to hit and hit hard. But some of these colleagues have gone to win, and they would like to share their experiences with the seminar on Sunday. If you have not registered, please do register and join us on Sunday. It will be a panel discussion, and I hope you will be part of it. And then this is another big story in town, the big one, the ASFI multidisciplinary conference and boot camp. It is happening. It is happening. So this is a call for abstract. Whether you are junior in your career, you're senior, you are in theology, you are in law, you are in computer science, you are in medicine, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it is called multidisciplinary. We want you to come. Let's gather together and make our voices heard. All right? So submit your abstract. Is it a completed work? No problem. Is it ongoing work? No problem. Is it a published work? No problem. We want to begin to tell the African story in a big way. So take advantage and submit. The final day to submit is 31st of August. Please, those who are seniors amongst us, encourage your students, let them submit their abstract. It's a place to learn, it's a place to give, it's a place to share. And then the conference itself, registration is open, and we have early bird registration. If you're an SFI member, you know big time you have discounts. Take advantage of it. If you're not a member, if you want to join, please join the bandwagon. You see that we have lots of packages for you. So please take advantage of the early bird to register for this conference. All right. All the information will be on the chat box. And we'll send them along when we send the slides. If you have put your email there to give you more information. All right. Thank you very much, colleagues, for the time we have spent this afternoon. And I hope you would have a wonderful, fabulous weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We appreciate so much.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Merci beaucoup, professeur.
Thank you, Professor.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. I have a question, Prof.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So in a situation where after doing the systematic review, and then we are coming from a third world country, and our naira is very battered now. So we are charged a very huge amount of almost $2,000 something, and we cannot afford it by the BMJ. Can we publish it somewhere else? That's my group that has finished the systematic reviews.
I mean, write them. The editors should. Have you written them that you need to have waiver?
We have not written them, but the date
you have to write them.
Okay, but sir, in absence, if they cannot do anything, can we publish somewhere else?
I mean, they have accepted your paper. It has gone through. It has gone through a process.
Yes.
So So if the time they have given you has passed to pay and you have not paid, then you can ask them. You can ask them whether they need to retrieve it, because you can't send it elsewhere until you have retrieved it from the journal.
Okay. Then after retrieving, there's room for us to send it somewhere?
Yeah, you can send it, because this one will not publish it then.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. And then this is a very, we are looking forward to the boot camp. And thank you very much for this mentoring.
Register and tell those in your university, register, tell your students
they
to
are
register.
already registering in drones. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
All right. David?
Prof, thank you so much for this time, for your enduring time, actually. I'm copying. If there's a witchcraft to get your energy, I think I want to learn that witchcraft. I'll be very much interested. Yes,
my hand needs to touch you. You need impartation, so it's not.
I'll come for a blessing.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
So, Professor, I've got a question. In case of opportunities, say one has a chance to open some kind of research center in their own countries, how can I engage ASFI? Which is the best method that I can fully engage ASFI?
All right. So that discussion will be private discussion, so that we know what you actually want to do. So write to me, and then we can find a time to talk about it.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.